everyone, and welcome back to the Blue Jays Center podcast. We took one off, but we're back here on Sunday. The Jays did not have a good stretch of games this week. We'll get into it. Let's go.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Blue Jays Center.
Bautista drives it deep left field. Gone!
The sickest Toronto Blue Jays podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Cole Whiston and James Price here with you to talk Blue Jays baseball after the Jays go 2-5 over the last week against the Royals and the Dodgers. We said it was going to be tough. We were hoping for a split against the Royals. We knew what we were getting into when it came to the Dodgers, and that went basically according to expectations for that one. So let's get into it. We'll start with the most obvious of all obviouses. This offense stinks, and it has continued to stink. And at the top of that stinking is Bichette, George Springer, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. James.
Yeah, I mean, kind of summed it up. Like the stat that I heard on the radio today was it is now 20 consecutive games that the Blue Jays have scored 3 or less.
3 or less? No, 5 or less.
Is it 5 or less?
Yeah, 5 or less, which is a franchise record. It's tied for the franchise record.
Yeah, 5 runs or less, which is the most by any team this season, which is the most by any team last season as well. This offense blows.
Yeah, and I got another one for you.
You know, we talk about these 3 guys, and that's where it lies. It's very similar to what people are talking about with the Leafs. Your best players have to be your best players, and for the Blue Jays, your best 3 hitters got to be your best 3 hitters. And when 2 of them are hitting in the mid 600 OPSs, and Bo is. Boy, we'll get into Bo. Holy smokes. He's in like nearing that 550 mark.
Checked out.
It's awful. I mean, you won the game today. I mean, obviously not offensively, but Alejandro Kirk, for God's sakes, went 3 for 3 with a home run, his first of the year. But yeah, let's start with Bo, because I think that's the topic that we all want to touch on. And you mentioned he looks checked out, and yeah, he looks done. Like I don't know what it is. How many times is he chasing first pitches?
Yeah, every time.
It's awful. He's not going up with an approach. He's chasing at first pitches, little ground ball here, ground ball. But he got to at least one double play today, and it was ugly.
Yeah, the one that he jogged.
Yeah. He looks awful at the plate. He doesn't look like he. I mean, look, Bo. We know what he's going to be at some point. He's done it his entire career. Again, I want to have the confidence that he will get back to the 850 OPS type of Bo that we all know and love. But boy, sitting here almost a month into the season with basically a 550 OPS is really, really bad.
Yep. Coming into today, he was 0 for his last 17. Yeah. His longest hitless streak in his career going into today was 0 for 18, which he tied because he did not get a hit in his first at-bat today. He got a hit in his second at-bat, so now he has 2 streaks in his Blue Jays tenure where he's gone 0 for 18 in a row. And it's not a matter of unlucky. He is, like we said, checked out. He's completely checked out. He swings at every single pitch. I mentioned on the post-game show today, swings at every single pitch, and if he's not swinging every pitch, he wants to swing at every pitch. He literally has 0 approach. It's like he wants to hit his way out of this slump, which is quite literally the opposite of what he should be doing.
Yeah, he's got to have an approach. And if the approach is swing out my ass, then he's doing a great job of that. But it's not working, and it's not going to work ever. And he knows that. He's a good enough hitter. I think today his Dante was there. So take that for what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like him and Vladdy are the cornerstones. If they're not going, this team's not going anywhere. Let's be honest. And like we all know kind of the downward spiral that Vladdy's been on the last few years, but no one expects Bo to have a 550 OPS.
No, he's been our most consistent hitter.
Yeah, you expect him to lead the American League in hits, hit 300, get an 850 OPS, 20, 25 bombs, just be a doubles machine. You're not seeing that.
No.
And it's been almost a month now, and somehow this team is around 500 with these 2 being that bad.
Well, that's the thing. So it's not rocket science, guys. This team is below 500 because their top 3 hitters can't hit the ball. Like,
Yeah.
because their top 3 hitters have OPSs that either start with a 6 or lower. Like, it's not rocket science. We talked about it on the last podcast, and nothing's changed since then. John Schneider is not going to change this top 3, at least in terms of the people that are in it. George Springer, Bo Bichette, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will be in the top 3, regardless of what we think and what the numbers suggest. I made the suggestion today that, okay, fine, John, what if we have a compromise where Vlad is starting to put the ball in the air a lot more recently in the last few games at home. Why not move him back to 3? Because then, if you have Bo Bichette at 2, 1, you're getting him more at bats. 2, you have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Justin Turner hitting behind Bo Bichette rather than to 1. So that's my suggestion right now, John. If this somehow falls into your lap, just give it a shot. I wanted to mention another offensive stat team-wide for this team. Since the All-Star break last year, trailing by 3 runs or more, this team is 0-36 now, I think, or 0-35. The only team in that span to go winless. The only team. This year, you could go even a step further. This team hasn't won a game when trailing by 2 runs, let alone 3. So when we go on the post-game show and say to you guys that, after the first inning we're down 3-0 and the game was over, at this point it's no longer a joke. It's just a fact. It's curtains.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, we know what the approaches look like. And this team is not a home run hitting team. They're not. And that's what those comebacks kind of get built off of, right?
Yeah, you have to, yeah.
You're down 3-0. You get a couple guys on, kabang, tie game. Well, this team doesn't do that. Like, for God's sakes, Kirk hit his first today, and our top guy is Varsho with 6. And it's just like, it's not great. It's not great. Yeah, I'm with you. That is awful. Like 0-36, and it's the only team in baseball. It's just, it checks out, though. Yeah. It really does check out with what the eye test has been telling everybody over the past, year and a bit now?
Exactly. So I do want to wrap that Bo, Vladdy, and Springer conversation up in a bow. Who are you most worried about? And I mean worried about getting back to the level that they, were expected to be this year. So, obviously I'm not talking about Vladdy getting back to an MVP form, because obviously that gap is larger than, Springer getting back to his leadoff form, or Bo getting back to his, everyday leadoff hitter, or, hits leader. I want to know, who are you most worried about getting back to the level that you were expecting them to be at going into 2024?
Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, it's still, I think, I agree. The answer is still Vladdy, yes.
Yeah. I still have the confidence that Bo will turn it around. Springer, we've kind of just ripped the Band-Aid off. We kind of know what it's going to be. Yeah. And for Vladdy, look, we all needed this big step. I mean, my bold prediction on BJC was 50 bombs. So I think I'm praying to God that he can turn it around. But the last couple of games, had the double, had the rip line, the line drive single today. I mean, fine, sure. And then he gets picked off at first base. It's like, okay.
He hasn't. It's been a long time since I've seen Vladdy have a complete game. Like a complete defensively good, base running good, and at the plate good.
Yeah. So I think he's the guy that I'm worried about, because, I was in, obviously, KC to see that game. And seeing that error live, I was very curious as to how he'd react afterwards. And I was trying to lock in on him. Yeah. He was gone. Yeah. Like, non-existent, checked out completely, and that worried the hell out of me when I saw that. I'm like, if you're going to be one of the best players in baseball, which you think you are, you got to put that shit behind you. And he wasn't able to do that. And obviously we know how the game ended up, and how literally, other than today, how every game has gone since that moment. So yeah, he's the one guy I'm worried about. I really, really am. And I'm hoping to God that a positive win today with some good vibes in the Rogers Center, and I don't know, freaking win for that matter, can turn something around. But I haven't seen anything to show me otherwise, really.
Yeah, if there is positive vibes and going into the Royal Series, before we get there, we're 7-5 at home. So hopefully that means something. Hopefully that's not a short sample. Hopefully we can continue that going forward. But let's, talk about the rest of this Royals and Dodgers week that the Jays have had. They went 2-5. They tied. Oh, we mentioned the franchise record for 5 or less runs scored. They scored 17. They gave up 28. All around, not good. But the one positive note across the board this week, especially, he had 2 starts this week. Kevin Gosman today seemed like not just the best version of Kevin Gosman this year. That's without a doubt. That seemed like the best Jays version of Kevin Gosman. And I know that usually that means 11 Ks, shutout ball, whatever. Yeah. I think with the pressure of trying to avoid a sweep, Kevin Gosman not being Kevin Gosman up to this point this year, against the best lineup possibly ever assembled, definitely probably in the 21st century, to do that with 1 run ball, 5 Ks, 5 hits, whatever it was, to do that with these circumstances, I thought that meant a lot to me in seeing Kevin Gosman going forward. I think he's back. We've had 3 good starts in a row from Kevin Gosman, and today capped it off for me. I think Kevin Gosman's back.
I think he's absolutely back. The velocity was up there as well. The splitter had tons of bite on it today. And you mentioned that lineup he was facing today. I mean, they've been buzzing. They're one of the best for God's sakes, look how the Jays scored their second run of the game, right? You had the little dribbler from IKF, which is what else do you expect? Davis scores in the play. Well, I mean, in my opinion, if you're Max Muncy, that's the right play. Because that's
if you're Max Muncy on the Dodgers, you mean?
That's what I'm trying. Yeah, exact situation. Because you're like, am I going to risk this play at the plate? Maybe not get him out and then have them score the run and a guy at first, or am I going to give up a second run to the Blue Jays and get the out at first? He takes the out, as he should, because you think the Dodgers will score more than 2 freaking runs.
Right. So the opposite of what we would have done.
Yeah. So with Kevin Gosman, I thought he was spectacular today. Tons of movement and everything. The confidence was there. It helps that his defense had his back a couple times there as well. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Addison Barger. Yeah. But you're right, man. It doesn't look, box scores are box scores. You watch the game from start to finish, you can really tell when a guy's dialed in. And when you're going up against the top 5 in their order have over an 800 OPS. They're
not just the top. You look at that lineup. I don't know if this rang true for the entire series. I was at game 1. Yep. You looked up at the scoreboard during the game.
Yeah.
2 guys in the entire Dodgers lineup have an OPS below 800. 2.
Yeah, not today. I think they Pages. I don't know what the hell his deal is.
No, his is 800.
Excuse me. Yeah. Outman's pretty low though, isn't he? He's at 566.
Yeah.
Barnes is in the 600s, and Lux has been pretty off.
Yeah. So Barnes was Smith on opening day. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So today, 5 guys over an 800 OPS, 2 guys over 1,000, 2 guys sniffing around 1,100,
3 MVPs.
It's a joke. 3 future Hall of Famers. If we want to keep going with this, and he was able to. I don't want to say shut them down because they did get a lot of hard contact, but did a job. When this team needed this game, I mean, how many times last year, right? Did we see Kevin Gosman come up when he lost 3 in a row and him lock down nails and get you a win? He did it again today. And this was his best start of the year, possibly his best start as a Blue Jay, and in a massive moment for this team.
Yep, I completely agree. And funny enough, I don't know if you heard this stat on the broadcast today, James. The Jays were avoiding not just the sweep, but losing 6 in a row for the first time since 2021. Yeah. That offense in 2021 that led the league in hard hit percentage and just missed fucking the playoffs by 1 game, winning 91 games. That team apparently lost 6 in a row. Mm-hmm. I was shocked when I heard that stat. I thought for sure it was either going to be, since June of last year or for a while, 2019 is probably the last time I would have thought it, not 2021.
Baseball's a crazy sport. It really is, man. It's you never know. The Jays can go rip off 7 in a row now and we'll be like, what the hell happened?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Baseball.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So to preview the rest of the show, for the Stat Genius section, we are getting into Vladdy, and obviously it's not good. I'm not going to fool you guys. We have the on the farm section. Obviously, we're in the midst of it. In fact, that'll be the perfect segue to my next topic. One of the guys got a call up. Oh, our guy Addison Barger was on the Blue Jay Center Instagram. Yep. We went down there and interviewed him. He made his big league debut, and let's just say he wasn't necessarily put in a position to succeed.
No, I think we're gonna wait on that. But yeah, I can't wait to feast on that one.
No, we're here. That's
right. Okay, great. Addison freaking Barger Big league debut. You're a third baseman. Now here's left field, bud. Here you go. Have fun. It's like, what? What are we doing? Are we setting the kid up to fail? Like, holy crap, he made one great play and then had one awful route to the baseball. But what else do you expect? Like, holy crap, man. I don't know. These decisions. I mean, what in the analytics would tell me that that's the right move?
Yep.
Like,
And not only did they start him in left field for the first time in his pro career, not only did he come up as an infield, and last year was like the first time I think he played right field, but the entire MO of this team in this roster construction is the amount of guys that have positional versatility.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else could have played left field. Somebody who has played left field in the big leagues could have played left field, let alone at all.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So of course, Murphy's Law will have it. The first ball that gets hit to Addison Barger in his big league career is a slicing fly ball to the warning track off a lefty. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Mm-hmm. And for anybody, I swear to God, for anybody listening to this that thinks that he needs to make that play because he gets paid to play baseball, you're out of your mind. You're out of your goddamn mind. He was on 20 minutes of sleep. The adrenaline, obviously, of playing in a big league debut, knowing the circumstances surrounding this team, and the whole reason why he's getting the call-up, besides replacing a phantom IL for Kevin Kiermaier, he needs to hit. He needs to actually provide spark for this offense because this team stinks, and that's the whole reason why they brought him up here. To stick him in left field and make him even have to think about playing a brand new position is moronic. It is a completely moronic decision, and then they went back to the well for game 2, and the same thing happened. I don't think he made an as egregious play, but I'm pretty sure there was another play in game 2 where, a traditional left fielder would have made the play. I can't remember, but he did not look comfortable.
No.
Finally got moved over to right field, and we finally got to see his best asset, which was his arm, almost gunned down somebody at third base, throwing the hardest throw by a Blue Jays outfielder in the StatCast era at 100 miles an hour. The fact that we stuck a guy who could throw 100 miles an hour in left field, there's no excuses. There's literally no excuses, and I'm glad that the one run that Addison Barger cost that team actually mattered. Like, John Schneider needs these decisions to cost him, in my opinion, and I'm glad that one did.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, like, think about it, right? You get the call. You're going to the big leagues. Holy crap. I'm jacked up, ready to go, fired up. Oh, you're playing a position you've never played before. I'm shitting myself even more now.
Yeah.
And he's one of your top prospects, lefty power bat, I'd say. A guy that could be a massive part of this team moving forward. And in the first game, you're throwing him to the Wolves in a horrible situation. It just makes no sense at all. And who played over him in that game? Well, it must have been like IKF or something. And at third base. And I'm like, sure, yeah, well, what are we doing here? Like, are we serious or what? So, and like I mentioned earlier, what analytics is going to tell you that was the right move to make? And then, like you mentioned, right field, he throws well. Yeah, no shit. And third base looked good, made a diving play at Rogers Center. Oh, you know why? That's where he plays the game. It makes no sense. It doesn't. And the Jays have like 8 different guys who can play left field, so I don't know why he was the guy.
Oh, yeah. No.
And if you really wanted that left fielder, call up Nathan freaking Lucas. That's where we're at here at this point.
Yeah. If you were providing yourself 0 choices on what you were going to do in left field that day, then call up a fucking left fielder, you moron. Okay. Not that I'm moving to a more positive subject, but we are going to get into the Stat Genius section surrounding Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So as expected, the eye test will not do you wrong when it comes to this Stat Genius section for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Last year, disappointing offensive year, but the one thing that I had to defend Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for at least, I'd say, 4 of the 6 months of the year was he was our best hitter of runners in score position. Our best hitter, 800 OPS, came up a lot, obviously, given his position in the lineup. He doesn't have that going for him this year. He doesn't even have that going for him this year. Guess who leads our team with opportunities with runners in scoring position? Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Oh, is it actually him? I was
it
gonna
is.
say Kirk, 'cause I swear to God, he comes up every freaking time. But yeah, okay.
Nope, it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He has 34 plate appearances with runners in scoring position. How many hits does he have? 4.
4 for 34. Good.
4 for 34.
Yeah.
42, and then this is now his overall stats. We talk about it all the time. He kills worms for a living. 42 ground balls he's hit this year. 22 fly balls, almost half the ground ball rate for his fly ball rate. And then let's cut that some more for his line drive rate. 16 balls in play that were line drives. To put that in perspective, guys, the guy on the other side of the field, leading off for the LA Dodgers, Mookie Betts. His literally read in the opposite order. He has 40 line drives, 20 fly balls, and then like 16 ground balls. Yep. That just goes to show you what the difference is between Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the actual MVP level caliber player. Vladdy in 2021, this is going to surprise some people. The percentages were the same.
Interesting.
Yeah. Vladdy, I would suspect if you looked, I didn't check this out, but I suspect if you looked at his BAPIP, it probably led in favor of, a lot of luck for Vladdy because you do hit the ball 115 miles an hour, you can get away with the amount of ground balls that you hit. Ronald Acuna, same thing, has a similar ground ball percentage as Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Same thing. He runs 100 miles an hour and he can hit the ball 100 miles an hour, so it doesn't matter if he hits ground balls. But when Vladdy can't run 100 miles an hour, you don't get bailed out by it anymore. Eventually, the luck will catch up to you, and it's catching up to Vladdy, and it has the last 3 years. Mookie last year, when he had a case for MVP, same thing. Mostly hit fly balls. Yep. The amount of balls in play, what led for him was the fly balls. And of course, when you hit fly balls and you hit that hard and you put the barrel on the bat, which is what Mookie's known for, you get home runs. And that's the simplest fix for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., guys. He just needs to put the ball in the air. Yeah. They talked about it on the broadcast. I don't know how we can have these conversations and them not be relayed to the actual dugout, because I don't understand how we can see something that somebody else doesn't. But they talked about on the broadcast, he has a closed stance this year. They're thinking that he's too closed off this year, which he's late, and he is. He's late. We talked about what I bet you if you looked at what his average was against fastballs this year, I bet you it's abysmal. And for a guy that is literally known for being able to crush fastballs, we've talked about it. The guy tests, he's late on 95. He's late on 94. Literally, every fastball is backing him up. So I would agree with the broadcaster's assessment of he has to be batting from a closed-off stance, because I have no other explanation to why he'd be late or why he's drilling the ball into the ground. So if it's as simple as that, Danny Jansen, Davis Schneider, somebody talk to him and tell him how to pull the fucking ball.
Yeah,
I would rather Vladdy strike out 10% more than he currently does if that meant that other 10% he was putting the ball in the air.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I can't remember if it was yesterday's hit that he had or one of the two today. It was like 118 off the bat. And I'm like, oh, it's a single. And it's like, it's incredible. You hear the saying that baseball is a game of inches. I mean, that's all it is, right?
It is.
You get somehow elevate the ball.
He gets ahead. He gets ahead of it by an inch more, and the ball is now in the second deck.
It's an absolute piss missile, and it's wild. It is absolutely wild. Watching, because we've watched it now for years, right? We saw it in his rookie season, right? We kind of like, okay, he's hitting the ball on the ground. Then he started to elevate, and we're like, oh, this could be fun for a lot of years. And then it reverted back. And you mentioned the close stance, and I've been seeing the videos of like 2021 and then the 2020 was probably this season's one. And it's wild why things would even change from that. Also, you mentioned the fastball stuff today. He was 2 for 4. Everyone's like, wow, you hit the ball well, hitting the ball the other way, good stuff. His one strikeout, 94 down the dick.
Yeah, like right down Broadway, swung and missed at it, didn't even touch it.
Oh, yep. It's just like this dude. Remember, I don't know if you probably remember this one at bat that will always stick in my head with this guy. I think it was in his rookie season. It was Zach Britton late in the game against the Yankees, and he threw like was it 98 or something along those lines?
High 90s,
that nasty sinker thing that Zach Britton always threw. Ball's down and out of the zone. Vladdy golfs at it and hits a piss missile out of the ballpark for a 3-run shot. And I'm like, our guy can't hit a flat 94 down the middle now. Like, what happened? It's crazy what has happened to Vladdy. It really is.
Yeah, and the whole thing was that he can get to fastballs on the inside. I mentioned this on previous shows before, but I'll say it again. His entire MO is that you weren't going to beat him inside. The bat speed and the bat path to be able to get to that pitch was unbelievable. That was his. You just weren't going to do it. You weren't going to do it. And because he stands so tall, you're also not going to be able to beat him on the outside either.
Yeah.
Now you can beat him wherever you want. He's swinging right through the pitches on the inside. He is late on all of them. He's taken a lot of them. If you paint a 95-mile-per-hour fastball on the inside corner, I bet your money that he is going to take that pitch for a strike, because for whatever reason he is not comfortable with that pitch this year. And I don't know. This isn't like last year, or even I would go a year previous, where everything looked fine, but you just weren't getting the results. This is like, yes, the hard hit percentage is still there. I'm sure he still barrels the ball at an elite level.
Sure.
But there's clearly something wrong with the swing path, and that's a part of our analytics that we actually don't have access to, or at least I haven't found it. We don't have access to that. They have access to it. I don't know how. You have a staff that gets paid 6 figures across the board that can't figure this out. An offensive coordinator, you still have a hitting coach, you've brought in Edwin for whatever reason, Dante Bichette apparently shows up when he feels like it. How has nobody figured this out? And I promise you guys, if this leads to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. getting traded from the Blue Jays before he hits free agency, I would put $100 on the fact that some hitting coach out there, the one that trades for him, will figure it out.
Oh yeah. They definitely will. I mean, it's awful to watch because we know what the guy is capable of, and we all know that if he ends up leaving, he will find it again and will just be pain for years. That's what we're all waiting on. And you mentioned earlier how you haven't seen that complete game from Vlad, like a couple great defensive
in 2024,
plays, sound base running, held 3 for 4 with an extra base hitter. You haven't seen that in one game in God knows how long.
Right.
Then Alejandro Kirk goes out there today and he has a complete game. 3 for 3 with a run scored, has a home run, his first of the year. And the one play it was in the early part of the game where he backpicked the guy at second base, and it was a beautiful play.
Yep.
I did a great job today. And I'm like, if Kirk can do it, Vladdy, for the love of God, you can. And we just haven't seen it. And for this team to go anywhere, you have to see it. And consistently.
Yeah. That'll be it for the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. talk, at least for today. We are going to get into a more positive section of the show, and that is On the Farm.
So most of it is positive. We'll rip the Band-Aid off right away with the one negative piece, and it usually starts this way. But Alec Manoah. He had a couple decent starts, like decent. His not this last one, but the two prior. It was great. It was good. I didn't walk anybody. Went, had a solid outing. And you're thinking, okay, that was his first solid outing in like a year. It's crazy. And then he follows it up with, what is it? 3 innings, 6 runs, 7 hits, 4 walks, 5 Ks, 2 bombs, and you're like, well. There goes that. And I believe I heard on the broadcast today on the radio, I could be wrong with the exact date, but you and I talked about this before, Cole, about how they have that clock where they have to figure something out with him. Now, it's not a big deal because he has options, but I believe the date is May 7th, so he'll have 2 more starts in AAA before they decide whether, okay, time's up. You either come up to the big leagues or we officially option you to AAA Buffalo because that's your rehab assignment's done. So I think that's May 7th could not be the exact date, but it's in and around that time. With the way that outing went, I mean, I think even if he has 2 decent outings, I just don't think there's no spot for him on this team.
Yeah, there's no shot, man. Fine. There's no shot unless you're going to send Bowden Francis down. There's no shot that Alec Manoah comes up, and I don't know why you would. No matter what you're using an option, whether it's bringing Alec Manoah up and sending Bowden Francis down, or just keeping Alec Manoah down there, I can say this for certain. if you have no choice but to use an option, use it on the guy that you care about, that you actually give a shit about. Keep him in AAA to actually try to build that guy back up. Because I can tell you one thing, Don Francis hasn't sniffed Cy Young level. Alek Manoah can stay in AAA for as long as he so pleases.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, he's done nothing to prove that he deserves to be up here anyways. And he hasn't proved that for over a calendar year at this point. So now the more positive, I guess. I'm going to try and it's a negative that could have been a lot worse. The Ricky Tiedemann stuff. We heard about him, not pitching, and we talked about that 2 podcasts ago. We're like, okay, he missed a start, so we're like, what's going on here? And then we hear it's like some
hit the IL first 7-day IL.
We're like, and we're like, oh god, that anytime you hear those things, it's awful news. Keegan Matheson tweets out. He has an ulnar nerve inflammation in his throwing elbow. So the club says he's avoided anything more serious. He could start throwing again in 7 to 10 days. So that is glorious news considering what it could have been for Ricky Tiedemann. But definitely a massive positive in that side of things. Now let's get to just like the top 15 prospects. We like to get through that a little bit. Orelvis Martinez. I mean, it's a guy that you wanted to touch on, and we got to because the Jays offense stinks. We started the pod with this. We've run with it the entire pod. And here's Orelvis hitting 300 with a 986 OPS and mashing baseballs. And we have Daniel Vogel back up here.
Yeah.
But
my issue.
Other than Vogelback being a left-hander.
That's my thing. That's my thing, though. The one thing that is preventing Orelvis Martinez from being in this big league club today was the fact that he was a righty. Addison Barger wouldn't have got the call if Martinez was a lefty. Martinez is more comfortable in the outfield than Addison Barger is, I believe. So there's the only thing that stopped it was the fact that he was a lefty. And that's the only reason why it's done. Vogelback's still on the team.
Which is wild. Or the vibes, because he seems like a big vibe.
I know, but what are you going to do? I know. My issue is, like, you have your righty versus lefty platoon in Davis Schneider. You're not going to give Martinez those at-bats. No. And I trust Uner Clement more, obviously. His bat-to-ball skills has played at this level. I don't know. I truly don't. I'm gonna, obviously, if this continues over the next month, and Daniel Vogelback continues to have limited appearances, then sure. But it sucks. Sorry, Orelvis.
No, I'm as awful as it sounds. I know we need the bat up here. And be like, well, you have Daniel Vogelback. Well, do you want to call up Orelvis to put him in that role and have him get like a couple of bats a week? No, you don't. You want him to have a prominent role in this team. And as of right this second, there's no spot available.
No.
And it's awful. I'd love to see him just continue to rake and put up, great numbers through the All-Star break and see what happens. But there's no spot.
Not as a righty.
No. No immediate one for him. So it sucks, but he is continuing to rake down there in AAA. Down to the Jays number 7 prospect, Alan Roden, which we've consistently talked about, and he continues to hit well, hitting 290 with a 388 OBP and 852 OPS. I mean, he kind of really grew last season. Had a combined 889 OPS through both two levels. And he continues to rake this year. He's an outfielder, so it is something to keep an eye on as well. Adam Macko, I've brought him up a few times on the farm. Obviously, the other piece acquired in the Cascar Hernandez deal. He struggled with command when he first came over here. That was the big thing. He can strike out a lot of guys, but he can't throw strikes. Well, he has figured that out. He is now has a 3.15 ERA in AA, where he didn't pitch at all last season. He's gone 5 innings in 3 straight starts. Opponents are hitting $194 off him.
Oh, wow.
1.1. I mean, he's a lefty. Like, he's been lights out.
What's the K rate?
Hold on a minute. Let me pull that bad boy up. It's not overly large. It's 22 Ks in 20 innings. So it's nothing, nothing crazy.
No, nothing crazy.
But he's been solid at a level he didn't pitch at all last season. So it's definitely a step in the right direction for him. Josh Kasevich, he's in AA, and he is just, he's hitting 342 with almost a 400 OBP, almost an 850 OPS. Obviously, no power in the guy, unfortunately, but he just rakes. So that's a great news. And my guy, Landon Marutis, dude's a stud. He's allowed one run over his, let me do some math here, quick math, 10 2/3 innings. Opponents aren't even hitting 100 off him, a whip of almost half. Like, he's just been like, it's Dunedin, it's A-ball, but he's 19. He is tearing it up, and he's 6'3". He's a big fella. So love what I'm seeing from him in the early goings, and that's really about it, though. I mean, not too much going on in the lower minor leagues, not much positive, at least down there. But we touched on all the positives because can't have a full negative.
Yeah, exactly. And like, to be honest, like, we came into this year saying that the one problem with this team is that there isn't also a whole lot of prospect capital to send off to other teams in hopes of getting a bigger piece back to help the big league team.
Exactly. Yeah.
If these guys, even if it's just 3 months of raking, all of a sudden, Elvis looks like a very good piece to go somewhere else. Spencer Horwitz looks like a very good piece to go somewhere else. Leo Jimenez, Adam, like, these guys could actually be traded for something big league worthy as long as this continues over the next short while. So that's why we care so much about this, not just because we're looking for the future of this big league team, but of what these guys could turn into for the big league team is the bigger piece, especially with the Jays window closing quickly. Okay, we'll get into the next Royal Series. Yep, they're coming back. We're playing them again. They're coming back to the Rogers Center this time for 3. And on the mound for us is Yariel Rodriguez for Game 1. Our ace and, dare I say, Cy Young favorite, Jose Barrios, goes against their ace and Cole Reagans. Again, the same matchup that we got in the rained-out game last week. And then we have Chris Bassett going in Game 3 coming off of a horrific start. One of probably his worst at the Rogers Center since becoming a Blue Jay, because he's been dominant at the Rogers Center. So based off of literally off the top of my head, I would assume that was his worst start in Toronto. He goes for Game 3. The Royals just lost 2 of 3 to Detroit. And when it comes to their ace, Cole Reagans, we actually had a pretty good game against him despite not scoring runs. Classic. We had 3 walks, 4 Ks in 5 innings, 3 hits. We did score a run. So for a guy that's known for getting a lot of swing and miss, he hadn't found that yet, and he was also not, he couldn't find his control. So it looks like, at least we go off of his last start against us, the Jays had a decent approach against Cole Reagans. So if we can get him in a game with our ace, then you just got to win one of the Yariel Rodriguez and Chris Bassett games.
Well, you mentioned that. So I'm going to flip to who's starting for the Royals in Game 1. And for the love of God, this might be the day that we finally score 5 freaking runs.
Mo, 6 runs.
Well, okay. God, they scored 6. It's throw a pizza party, boys. They're nuts. They're facing Jonathan Bolan, a guy who has made 2 big league outings in his career. He's 27 already. So take that for what it is.
Yeah, hasn't found it.
And he started 1 game in his career. And he's going to be starting tomorrow. Like, if there's a game to score some damn runs, it's that one.
You said he's had 2 big league starts?
2 big league outings, 1 start.
Gotcha. And how has he been?
Yeah, he already have 3 in 3 innings. It's fine.
And I assume like 3
strikeouts.
Yeah.
He's nothing special. Like,
Nothing
really.
special.
I mean, he's 27. I mean, he was okay, let me put this to you. Last year in AAA, if I can load the damn screen. Okay, screw it. All through the minor leagues, which is 2 different teams. He threw 102 innings, had an ERA almost 6 in AAA last year.
Oh, God. The Jays need to light this guy up for 6.
This is it. The plan, like you mentioned, the finale looks great. You know, the Barrios,
middle game,
game, right? And Chris Bassett's been great
at home, yeah.
And then you throw this guy in Game 1. This is a chance where you can win a couple games here. At least win a damn series, please.
Yeah, at least win a series. I think that there's an opportunity to grab all 3. You're at home. You're 7-5 at home, like I mentioned earlier in the show, and you got favorable matchups in all 3 games. So as long as you shut down their offense that has been carrying themselves so far. Salvi's in vintage Salvi form. Bobby Witt is having the breakout year that everybody was expecting him to have. And then everybody else is just, filling in around the edges.
Yeah.
You just need to win another series, because you lose another series and the conversation already grim is going to be even grimmer when you go on the road to Washington afterwards, which is obviously a series where you should be sweeping, but that'll be an entirely different conversation come our Thursday podcast if they lose the series against the Royals again.
Yeah, would it ever be? Like, my goodness, you have a stretch right now. And, baseball is a crazy sport. And I'm going to totally flip something real quick. The A's just lost or beat the Orioles 2 out of 3 at Camden Yard.
Oh, wow.
And the
Wow.
Rays just got swept by the White Sox.
Wow.
So,
No. There's no. I think they won, didn't they win? Didn't they, have a shutout in one of those games? I was just looking at it today. They
Rays
didn't?
lost 9-4 in game 1,
The Rays?
8-7 in game 2, 4-2 in game 3.
Wow.
So baseball's nuts. It's crazy stuff, man. The 6-22 White Sox. Well, now 6-22. Before 3-22 when Tampa showed up. Yeah, baseball's nuts. It's a crazy damn sport. The Jays have somehow won today, and they're somehow almost a 500 team with a putrid offense. It's nuts. It really is. But for the love of God, win 2 or 3 and go to Washington, and I guess win 2 or 3. I don't know. I mean, hey, my take on John Schneider not making it to June is still feeling. I'm still feeling pretty good about that.
Oh, yeah. I forgot we had that.
Yeah.
Not making it till June. Yeah.
The month of April has been pretty hectic for him. So I can only imagine.
Well, yeah.
Playing the Royals and then the Nationals, and you do have a series against those White Sox at some point in May. So we'll see.
Yeah, you're going to have a 500 record at the end of April, which, big picture, isn't that bad considering the schedule and considering where you were to start the year. And the fact that you've had, which leads me to the next point, the fact that you've had very little home games so far to start the year, not that bad. Big picture-wise for the Jays, they've fallen ass backwards into a 500 record. They might fall ass backwards into 88 wins in a wild card spot this year. That's certainly not out of the realm of possibilities yet, because you have to assume that 3 guys that have never had OPSs that start with 6, you would have to assume that they're not going to have an OPS that starts with 6 come the end of this year. So by all means, everything trends upwards for this team.
Yeah,
ideally. But my next point is regarding the home field advantage. Last year, and this is going to finish off the show. Last year, the Jays ballpark was 25th, I believe, in ballpark factor, which means it was one of the most pitcher-friendly ballparks in all of baseball with the new renovations. Most of the time when you look at StatCast and ballpark factor, it's over a 3-year period. Yeah. But obviously with the Rogers tenure, you have to do it just year to year. So last year was 25th. You take out last year and just do this year so far, it's 6th. I said all along that I thought last year was going to be an outliner. Didn't make any sense. The research suggested we were going to get more home runs. I think it was a perfect storm of a god-awful offense and a elite pitching staff that led to the ballpark factor being what it was. I didn't expect that to be the case this year. So far, very small sample, they are 6th in ballpark factor, tied with Colorado. Tied with Coors Field, which we all know obviously is notorious for being hitter-friendly. Now, my only note to rebuttal myself is the fact that it's the 3rd least amount of plate appearances at home so far to start 2024. So this one of the smallest samples in the majors, but so far trending upwards.
I'll touch on one thing before you mentioned earlier that the Jays were going backwards into a 500 record. The month of May is where you got to stack up wins. You mentioned the tough start to the schedule.
Go through it. Yeah, go through it.
I mean, if you want to start May 1st, it's the finale against the Royals. Okay. Nationals for 3. Phillies for 2. Okay. Fine.
But it's 2, yeah.
That's going to be tough. Twins, they're a 500 team. You're at home for that. Orioles for 3. Fine. The Rays have been awful. You're at home for 3. White Sox for 3. Tigers for 4. White Sox for 3. And then the Pirates for 1 to end off May. This is the time those 600 OPSs turn into 700s, and who knows, maybe even 800s. And this is when the wins start to pile up if you're a good team.
Right. That's a perfect way to finish off the show. This team last year capitalized on those months. That's how they fell ass backwards into a playoff spot last year, is that these months they raked. You can look it up and you can go through the team's schedule, stats and results. You can go to Baseball Reference, go to the months, and you'll see for I believe 4 of the 6 months they had a 600 winning percentage, and then the other ones like they were either just below 500 or 500, right around there. So this is the month that the Jays could capitalize on last year. If the Jays can't capitalize on that this year, when we have this conversation again at the end of May, I think we'll have a lot more definitive opinions on where this season's going to go and what this team should be doing going forward. Because, as we've mentioned before, there is a world that this team sells at the deadline. I'm going to finish it off there for all the haters in the comments. Thank you for watching the Blue Jays Center podcast, presented by the Sick Podcast Network. We'll see you again on the off day on Thursday, and Rob should be back for that one. James Price, Cole Whiston, thank you for watching.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Blue Jays Center on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.